live at MSNBC World Headquarters in New York. We're going to begin with the new fallout after a historic acquittal. Donald Trump declared not guilty. Fast-moving developments in the aftermath of the deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol. Sadly, a typical morning in America, but it does not get routine. 2 people are dead. This has been my first time, even as a New Yorker, getting to see the reflecting pool just yesterday, and just absolute chills. I could just imagine the same for you all. We do see Philip's coffin for the first time. You recall during Diana's funeral, there was a personal note from Prince Harry that said simply mummy. Bobby, in the meantime, really quickly here, because it's not just the rocket fire and the counter-assault from Israel, but you also have a lot of fighting that is taking place within the streets of Israel.
And there was still natural light outside. Oh, did it just happen? The lights just came on behind you.
The marquee is back on. The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon is back on. Tropical storm Elsa expected to hit the Florida Keys as soon as tonight. This morning, Cuba is already feeling near hurricane force winds and heavy rain. I hope next Christmas I have a kid so I can be super excited about today like y'all. When you see something like that, knowing how hopeful she was to be able to have a kid and be here for Christmas, what do you think? You had 911 for up to 200 miles knocked out as a result of this. They gave a clear warning. Is this the warning for something else? An officer testifying against one of his own, sometimes referred to as crossing the blue line of silence. You're former LAPD. What is the significance really of this? And a huge milestone this morning with 100 million Americans now fully vaccinated.
Those rules, in my opinion, are outdated.
I kind of tend to disagree with you. It is, in fact, a performance-enhancing drug if you're performing in the Nathan's hot dog competition. How often do you clean your sheets? There's a new survey in the UK that found Brits only do it 3 times a year.
What? No. No.
They're doing something that we're not really accustomed to seeing or hearing about. I almost feel dirty talking about it right now. They're negotiating. No, wash my mouth out. They have seen dozens of sunrises and sunsets, and we learned overnight they've been doing some artwork, playing music, and you might be surprised what's their favorite food.
Kendis Gibson is in Port Canaveral. Kendis, this adventure has been groundbreaking in so many ways.
It really has been, Jose, and I'll tell you, the excitement is building right here along the Space Coast. In just a matter of minutes, the space capsule Dragon will touch down in the Atlantic Ocean, bringing to an end this epic journey. Tonight, the return to Earth, the first all-civilian space crew to orbit the Earth, wrapping their history-making 3-day mission.
We're giving all of our time right now to science research and some ukulele playing, and trying to raise some good awareness for an important cause for us back on Earth.
The inspiration for billionaire Jared Isaacman, who's bankrolling the trip, bone cancer survivor Haley Arsenault, Cyan Proctor, the first black woman to pilot a spacecraft, and Chris Dombrowski, who won his ticket through a sweepstakes. Their last hours in space spent taking in the views, snapping photos in the specially designed capsule dome, even chatting with Bono. They blasted off from Cape Canaveral Wednesday evening on a SpaceX rocket. Their capsule, the Dragon, measuring 13 feet wide, their home as they whizzed around Earth at 17,000 miles an hour.
It's been really interesting to see how fluid shifts with this microgravity environment.
The mission, part science to determine the effects of space on the human body, and part charity. More than $150 million raised for St. Jude's Children's Hospital, where Arsenault works. Patients there are getting a rare treat Thursday.
Are the cows on the moon?
I hope there will be one day.
Their trip highlighting a new era in space travel and opening the new frontier to anyone with big dreams.
And Kendis, a splashdown is less than 10 minutes from now. What happens then?
Well, there's a SpaceX recovery vessel that's already out there in the Atlantic Ocean. It'll pick them up, bring them right through here in Port Canaveral. Jose? Where we're standing right now really highlights the significance of all of this. Of course, you have Detroit right over there to my right. And right across the river, you can see Windsor, Ontario, Canada. It almost feels as if you can touch it. But for a year and a half, 17 months, you've had family members who have come to parks like this and only be able to wave and distantly see their relatives on the other side because they're unable to cross a bridge like this to be able to touch their loved ones. all of that changed today. Fully vaccinated Americans can cross over and visit their family and friends and be tourists on the Canadian side. They got to do a number of different things in order to get over there and fill out some forms, but many say it's well worth it. What do you think your emotions are going to be like?
I don't know. I just hope I don't start crying.
Yeah.
But I might, because I'm feeling verklempt now.
Yeah, no.
I knew when it opened I'd be over on the first day. My mother is going to be 94 in October, and I haven't seen her in a year and a half. Can't wait to see her.
Oh,
and my brother, and my sister, and everybody.
Well, besides the personal impact, it was devastating economically. Some estimates said that every month that the border was closed, it cost businesses on both sides of the border $1.5 billion a month. Americans accounted for 50% of the tourists that would travel into Canada. As far as when Canadians will be able to do the opposite and come here to the United States, that's a sticky subject right now. It's still to be TBD. Former President Trump has made a decision about whether he'll run for president in 2024. It turns out that 8 conservative members will be duking it out to succeed Boris Johnson as party leader and, of course, British Prime Minister. President Joe Biden touching down in Israel this morning. The 4-day trip marks his first visit to the Middle East as president. Thousands are expected in Miami Beach for the first major Pride festivities of the year. It comes at a time when many in the gay community feel increasingly under attack, especially in the state of Florida.
You knew you were innocent, but after 32 years, I would personally think this is it. This is going to be my life. You didn't think that?
No. I couldn't afford to think that.
Time now for an all-new Miami Proud, going to the dogs, you might say, and a unique program by Broward Animal Care and Adoption. It's sort of like Tinder for dogs. They've got about 100 dogs available for adoption, and to help you find the perfect match, you can take your potential pup out on a date first. Yeah. Prices are rising on just about everything, and many South Florida residents are now experiencing sticker shock following major increases to their electric bill. Uber now facing a civil lawsuit after more than 500 women say they were sexually assaulted by drivers. A handcuffed man tries to make a getaway while in handcuffs. Let's see how this works out, shall we? The president held what was called a celebration, all because of the signing of that new gun control bill. The new gun law, by the way, expands background checks for 18 to 21-year-olds, pushes for more red flag laws at states, and closes the so-called boyfriend loophole to protect victims of domestic violence. Well, it appears that fireworks may be responsible for a fire at a popular Palmetto Bay restaurant. Investigating the Robb Elementary School massacre plans to release new surveillance video showing law enforcement response to the attack. The chair of the committee says the release will include video from the hallway during the shooting. 6:22 on this Tuesday morning, South Florida school districts facing a big problem before the start of a new semester. Listen, thank you. The January 6th committee getting ready for what could be an explosive hearing this afternoon. New research shows gambling addiction is a very prevalent problem all around the world. Happening right now, President Biden is spending his second day in Israel. You see him there meeting with the interim prime minister. Inflation also causing turmoil in Haiti, that country dealing with high fuel costs and gas shortages. Former President Trump has made a decision about whether he'll run for president in 2024. A source close to Trump confirms to CBS News he will make his decision known this fall. Hasbro and the New York Times are creating a whole new way to play, turning it into a board game. One account could have up to 5 profiles. That's a whole lot of burner accounts. But the other ones could have unique names and be tailored for relationships or interests, such as close friends. Prices are rising on just about everything, and many South Florida residents are now experiencing sticker shock following major increases to their electric bill. Uber now facing a civil lawsuit after more than 500 women say they were sexually assaulted by drivers. Thank you. Caught on camera, an off-duty firefighter in California makes a daring save out of a car that was on fire. Look at these scenes. The SUV crashed into the center divider. The impact so severe, it bent the metal guardrail and sent debris across several lanes of traffic. Thousands are expected in Miami Beach for the first major Pride festivities of the year. It comes at a time when many in the gay community feel increasingly under attack, especially in the state of Florida.
we went to Miami Beach, iconic hotspot, to see the impact the so-called Don't Say Gay law is having on this year's festivities.
It is one of the most iconic attractions on South Beach. The Palace on Ocean Drive, their legendary brunch, a mixture of food, booze.
It's like a queer circus.
And jaw-dropping acrobatics.
How? Girl, you put that one leg back. Make sure that head is tilted towards your chest so you don't hurt yourself. And pray you make it.
It draws people from all across the country, and especially during Pride, the Palace will be the crown jewel in this weekend's celebrations. But politics is casting a shadow over this year's parties.
In the moment, we're celebrating who we are, but we're not forgetting, hey, we have a fight to fight.
The current fight involving the newly signed so-called Don't Say Gay law.
It's happening during this time. It's happening like around time for Pride and everything, and it's really sad.
The measure, signed just last week by Governor Ron DeSantis, bans discussions about the LGBTQ community with kindergarten through third grade age children.
That in the state of Florida, parents have a fundamental role in the education, health care, and well-being of their children.
It would have had a major impact on me.
The children know. So what makes you think they're not going to tease each other and belittle each other? And then they can't go, the teachers can't get involved and talk about it and have that conversation, good or bad or indifferent.
Supporters of the law say it's important because children are being exposed to radical concepts on sexual orientation and gender identity. Now, many other states, including Ohio and Texas, announcing plans to pursue similar legislation to Florida's.
Just when we think we can lay our hair down, here comes a new fight or a new angle.
For now, the celebrations will go on, with a heavy dose of concern for the actions in state capitals all across the country.
Yeah, so the parties will go on all along Miami Beach. But, you know, Tiffany there was pointing out to me that Pride started out as a riot. So in Stonewall in New York so many years ago, more than 50 years ago. So it's always a bit of celebration mixed with protests and fighting.
And they really are so talented.
Oh my God, I don't know how they do that. Wow. They call it the drag queen death drop. That split that's just like, ah.
And with those huge shoes.
First night inside your mama's house last night in 32 years?
Yes.
Did you sleep?
At some point I did finally go to sleep. I did. But I was up bright and early this morning.
You were up bright and early. Did you think this day would come?
Yeah. But I always felt the truth would eventually come out. And I was going to force it out. And that's why I would never give up. I would never let up. I kept the pressure on. Because what I mean by pressure is that I told my story to everybody.
Anybody would listen.
If you had ears, I told it to you. You got fingerprints. They got 9 prints, and they is not yours. How did they convict you?
How did they convict you?
Nobody done what they were supposed to do. Nobody upheld their oath. To this day, I have never been questioned by the Metro-Dade Police Department.
You knew you were innocent, but after 32 years, I would personally think, this is it. This is going to be my life. You didn't think that?
No, I couldn't afford to think that.
Are you a forgiving person?
If I don't forgive somebody for what they've done, they don't know this. So it only hurts me because this is like a cancer. It festers inside of me, and I'm the only one carrying it. They live in their life. I'm interested in preventing the problem.
Because there were plenty of doubts in your case.
Exactly. So by law, if you had a single doubt, you're supposed to find that person not guilty. But the jury don't understand that yet, not yet. But everybody will understand it before it's over.
Congrats.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it.